A blinding flash, a deafening roar, then chaos. On Wednesday night, tragedy struck the skies over our nation's capital. An American Airlines Boeing 737 collided with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. Two aircraft carrying dozens of souls crashed into the icy waters of the Potomac River. The nation watched in horror. There were no survivors. The American Airlines flight, originating from Miami, was preparing to land at Reagan National Airport. On board were families, business travelers, and young figure skaters heading to a competition. The Black Hawk helicopter, carrying 3 U.S. Army personnel, was on a routine training mission. The collision occurred just before 9 p.m. local time. Eyewitnesses described a bright flash in the sky, followed by a terrifying explosion. Debris rained down on the city below, plunging into the dark waters of the Potomac. The impact sent shockwaves through the surrounding neighborhoods. Panic ensued as residents flooded emergency lines with reports of the disaster. Immediately, a massive rescue operation swung into action. First responders from across the D.C. area rushed to the scene, but as the hours passed, a grim reality set in. This was not a rescue mission, it was a recovery operation. The nation awoke to the devastating news. A collective gasp of grief echoed across the country. Flags flew at half-staff as Americans struggled to comprehend the magnitude of the tragedy. President Trump, in a televised address, expressed his condolences to the families of the victims and praised the bravery of the first responders. He vowed a full investigation into the cause of the accident. Secretary of Defense Christopher C. Miller, visibly shaken, acknowledged a terrible mistake had been made and pledged a thorough investigation. As the day unfolded, heartbreaking stories of the victims began to emerge. Each life lost represented a world of potential, of love, of dreams shattered. Amidst the grief, there were also stories of resilience and compassion. Communities came together to support the families of the victims, offering prayers, meals, and a shoulder to cry on. As the nation mourned, investigators began the arduous task of piecing together what went wrong. The National Transportation Safety Board took the lead, dispatching a team of experts to the crash site. Every piece of wreckage, every communication record, every radar track would be scrutinized in search of answers. Early speculation centered on the possibility of an elevation issue. Sources close to the investigation revealed that the Black Hawk helicopter may have deviated from its assigned altitude. However, investigators cautioned against jumping to conclusions. The investigation would be long and complex, involving hundreds of interviews and meticulous analysis of data. Adding to the complexity was the fact that the FAA was currently without a permanent administrator. This leadership vacuum raised concerns about the agency's ability to effectively oversee aviation safety. The tragedy reignited debates about aviation safety protocols. Experts called for a review of air traffic control procedures, particularly in congested airspace around major airports. There were also renewed calls for enhanced pilot training, with an emphasis on situational awareness and collision avoidance. The investigation into the DC mid-air collision will likely take months, if not years, to complete. The NTSB will issue a preliminary report within weeks, outlining the basic facts of the accident. However, the final report, containing a detailed analysis of the cause and recommendations for preventing similar tragedies in the future, could take years. In the meantime, the families of the victims face an unimaginable road ahead. They must navigate their grief while also demanding answers and accountability. The DC mid-air collision is a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of aviation safety. It is a tragedy that has shaken our nation to its core. As we mourn the victims, let us also honor their memory by demanding better from our leaders and working together to ensure that such a disaster never happens again.